Good morning, hope everyone's okay. It's Thursday, nearly the weekend. It's take two, because my wrist went off. I'll be on the first one and the camera just went bloop. So hopefully we'll stay steady this time. It is 6.4 degrees air temperature and 6.8 degrees water temperature. I feel like I've got a bit nesh actually at the minute because everything feels really like colder than it actually should do. There we go. I'm missing the really cold stuff. I was lamenting yesterday the lack of ice and snow this year. But hey ho, it's it's the weather. We can't control these things. Yeah, I'm just gonna drop. Let me just take off the chlorine thing in. Actually, a few people have messaged and asked me about how to keep the barrel sort of half decent. So chlorine tablets, we use something called Sapphire Waves, which you get on Amazon, and one of these, which is just a chlorine floater, again from Amazon, a few quid, and it literally does a slow release of the chlorine tablets and keeps the barrel fairly clear. At the minute the water's good for a couple of weeks, because it's so cold. Same with the pool. When you get into the summer, you have to up the chlorine and change the water a bit more often because of the warmer water and the stuff that then appears in it. Right, I'm just gonna having another one of them days where I'm like, I don't want to get in past the tops of my legs, but we're gonna go. Just give me a minute. Ooh. It's nice to show you that some days aren't always amazing and I don't just get in and go, wow, that's great. Some days are a little bit like this where it's a bit of a battle to get in, but I know that I'll feel better afterwards, so it's done. And I just have to have that little bit of a mental push through. I was in here in the dark last night with a glass of wine. If you saw on my socials, I worked away this week. I was in London, I was in Greater London for a couple of days. Kingston-on-Thames, which is a really nice place, right by the river, obviously because it's Kingston-on-Thames. I was hoping to swim outside Hampton Court Palace, which is quite near, but I was struggling to get a swim buddy, and I'd never swum there before, so I decided against it. So decided to go to Laleham on Thames yesterday. I've swum there a few times while I've been working down that way. Know the spot pretty well. I've swum it with people, I've swum it solo as well. Yeah, and it was also on the way home, which was a bonus, or sort of on the way back to the M3, which I needed to get to. A very frustrating 45-50 minutes in traffic to get there. Oh my god, I thought I'd driven London traffic before, but yesterday was something else. It was raining as well. I managed to screw up the side of the car on the car park coming out of the NCP because it was one of those corkscrew things and it was really narrow. So by the time I got there, I was not in the best of moods. And I was very ready for getting in the water, but it was just a no-go. And it's actually quite good to talk to you about no-go swims because I don't really talk about them. So yeah, got there. It was still raining. The water was much higher than the levels I'd swum. Generally, there's to basically kind of try to explain a little bit. There was a tree, or there is a tree, at the entry point that I go in from, which is just over the road from a little campsite, and I normally use the tree to get changed behind and sort of just stash my stuff behind, so it's away from the road and everything when you get in the water. And the tree was quite far underwater. There was no way that I was getting. If I'd have had to have got changed about 3 foot behind it because it was submerged, and the flow was just faster. it sounds silly, but you could see the water. I mean, I came over a bridge further down the river about 5 minutes from where I swam, and there was like there was a lock to one side and like a run off to the other side, and that was absolutely wild in that run off bit. So I'd sort of thought, you know, maybe we won't do it. And actually, someone that I do swim with down there that couldn't make it sort of said, just be careful because some of the spots are still on yellow flag. So I had a look at it. I thought to myself, I could probably get in here and just stay in the shallows, but I genuinely didn't think it was worth the risk. So I got in the car and I drove all the way back to the office in my swim gear, with the face on. But it's all about safety, and you know, like the local river has been unswimmable more than it's been swimmable for the last few weeks, and it's just knowing, it's looking at it with a conservative eye and thinking, actually, not going to get in there. It doesn't happen often, but I always know that if it does happen, there's always another opportunity to go back and swim another day, and I would rather come away thinking that than come away having sorry having got in and had a really bad experience and put my safety at risk, or worse, the safety of someone else that might have to come in and drag me out, especially as a solo swimmer. I think, you know, if there'd have been a few people there yesterday and we'd have all decided to go in the shallows, it would have been perhaps a little bit different. The other thing is as well, I think you've got to know the water. So our local river, I think I know well enough to know exactly when it's swimmable and it's not swimmable, whereas something like the Thames, where I've been in a few times but I don't see it regularly, it's a harder call to make. There's also been the odd time where I've found a swim spot, or I've seen a swim spot on a local swim page, and I've gone to look at it and it's just been an out and out no. You just get a bit of a gut feeling for it, and I can't explain it, but there's a place near us called Treaton Dyke, which is on the way to Rotherham, and it's sort of a well-known swim spot, but also it's a bit 50-50. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people are like, it's awful, really don't like it. I mean, God, I heard some awful things about it last year, where people said that there was, you know, people were getting the swim stuff nicked and by people while they were in the water and everything. So yeah, I must have been there about 4 times, gone to the entry point I knew about, looked at it and went, nah, not for me, not doing this. Ended up going in because a good friend of mine who I swim with, who can't swim, it always makes me laugh. He's such a cool guy, but yeah, he swims but he can't swim, so he swims in a life jacket, bless him, and he's ace. But yeah, he started going last year really regularly, and basically made friends with the guys that fish there, and they told him where to go in, and he found this little spot off to the side, and took me in one day last year in the summer, and it was probably one of the nicest swims I've ever had. I know it was a good swim because Kieran came with me, and Kieran ended up swimming. I know he's pretty much been in there all through the winter, and I'm aiming to get there at some point, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, as work steadies off, so that when I can have a bit more time in the morning and go and get a dip in. That's another story. Work-life balance is still off. I mean, I was working until 10 last night, although I'm doing quite a lot on self-development at the minute. So I guess my business brand comes back to the comfort zone, I think, again, and I'm trying to push myself outside of the comfort zone, put more content on LinkedIn, talk about my business more, and I actually find it really hard, LinkedIn especially, because it's a stupid thing, but it bugs me constantly. When you have a corporate job with a big company, obviously you use LinkedIn as a platform to promote your business, your services, your skills, connect with a network and everything. What that brings with it is connections and followers, and then when you move away from that job, those people still remain unless you remove them. And I've never removed anyone because I kind of think, you know, why should I? But equally, it means that when you start your own business, people look at you And if you use LinkedIn, or if you don't use LinkedIn, what happens is if someone looks at your profile, you get a notification to say that someone's looked at your profile. And I've had a couple of things, so like the same person's looked at my profile from a previous, shall we say, a previous life, every week for the last 3 weeks, which is probably absolutely nothing, but makes me really, really paranoid. And then a few people from particular businesses have looked at me in private mode, which means you know that someone's looked at you, but you don't know who it is, which also makes me paranoid. And it frustrates me because I just think I shouldn't be like, why are you looking at me, why is this so, it shouldn't be a stressful thing, but it has been. And I'm trying to push myself out of the comfort zone now and go, right, do you know what, I'm going to put loads more content on here, and then you've got something to look at and you can actually see what I'm doing with my life these days. And yeah, but equally with that comes this massive fear of someone from a big corporate business looking at my little business, which I absolutely love to pieces, and just thinking, excuse my language, but what the fuck are you doing, you idiot? Do you even know what you're doing? And it's like I second guess myself all the time when it comes to running my own business as to whether I know what I'm doing, whether I know what I'm talking about. It's a confidence thing, and there's definitely a lot of imposter syndrome that sits around it, and that's probably something to talk about on another video, not today. But it very much creeps in onto LinkedIn, and it just makes me nervous on a daily basis when people look at me on LinkedIn, that they just think I'm a moron, basically. And I hate that. It stops me doing all sorts of stuff. It stops me going to networking. It stops me. I was asked to nominate myself for a Women in Business award, and I didn't do it, and the deadline's gone now, and I've had bollockings from people left, right and centre about why I didn't do it. But the fact is, it's the fear of thinking that, what if I don't know what I'm talking about? What if I don't know what the hell my business actually does? Or what if people ask me questions and I don't know the answers? And what if people from like years and years ago look at me and go, what's that idiot doing? It's horrible. And where we are now, I actually don't know how I get past it. I know how I beat it, but I will beat it and I will get through it. And I think the only thing that I can do is just continue to push myself out of the comfort zones that I'm in. I'm going to drop my shoulders now because I've done 12.5 minutes again. Oh. Yeah, and push myself out of those comfort zones and just get on with it, and just try and put those thoughts at bay. They're not the intrusive thoughts that I talk about with my OCD. They're not bad things where I think I've done something. They're just that little voice in my head that just goes, you don't know what you're doing, what are you talking about, you can't do that, what are you doing that for, you fucking moron. Yeah, it's, I don't know, it's hard to get past, but I'm determined and it's not going to beat me. So yeah, so there's today's musings about not being no swimming and imposter syndrome all in one video. Like, you never thought you'd have all of this all in one place, but this is the randomness that comes from my early mornings out here. So I'm going to go in now. I'm going to say bye to my little boo before he heads off to school. I'm going to get ready for another day in the office. I'm going to stick some more stuff on LinkedIn and then basically switch it off and not look at it. And we'll crack on, and I will talk to you probably, it's Thursday, isn't it? Probably next week, I don't know, we'll see, depends if I've got more junk in my brain that I need to just get rid of before then. Have a great day, guys, see you soon, bye.